Hi, my name's Kim with One Down Dog, and today I want to share with you a quick, about 20-minute long practice for pelvic stability, and this is specific for pregnancy, so prenatal, or also postpartum. Can be done either time. So in pregnancy, there is the hormone relaxin, probably you've heard of it, that causes your joints and muscles and everything to relax, as the name implies. And relaxin continues to flow after you've had the baby, especially for as long as you are making milk with your body. So because of this relaxin and because of various other things that happen to your body as the weight changes and also as you're holding a small child and doing weird things with your back, low back pain is a really common thing. So this practice is designed to think about supporting around the pelvis, around the low back. We'll be doing lots of strengtheners for adductors and abductors, outer hips and inner thighs, all of the muscles around the pelvis. That should hopefully alleviate some of that low back pain a little bit. So good practice to put on if you've been feeling a little achy or a little loosey-goosey. So we're going to get started in a seated position. So you can cross your legs either side. And also I should say you'll need a couple of things, or a couple of things kind of optional, but if you have a yoga block, that would be great to have in hand, or anything else like that, like a child's ball, inflatable ball that's maybe like kind of medium size, not a huge one, would work well. A couch pillow or like a decorative pillow or a folded up blanket would work. And then you might also want like another pillow or a couple blankets just from one posture we're doing towards the end. So have those things handy, come into a cross-legged position, rest your hands wherever. It's a quick practice, so we'll just start with a breath to ground us, taking your eyes closed if you'd like, and a breath in your nose. And open your mouth, exhale, let it go. Bring your awareness to your pelvis, to your seat. Feel your sitting bones on the ground. Connect to the iliac crests, the crests of the iliac crests, the crest of the hips, so the kind of front and top of the pelvis. You can bring your hands there. Your sacrum in the back, maybe even notice your tailbone at the base of your spine. Just kind of beginning to familiarize yourself with that landscape. And then we'll begin to rock forward on the pelvis. The heart will press forward, jut your chest forward, and then rock back on the sitting bones, kind of rounding your back. So like a seated cat-cow. You can flick your eyes open or keep them closed. So you'll breathe in, come forward on the pelvis, maybe lift the chin, and then rock back. And just a couple times like that. I'm just kind of feeling those sitting bones gliding against the ground as you rock back and forth. And the rest of the spine will just respond as it feels good. Again, if you want to take a couple circles just to connect to the outside edges or rock side to side. There might be a little bit of crunching, that's okay. And then from here, just rocking forward, coming to your hands and knees. If you have that block or something like it, you're gonna go ahead and place it in between your inner thighs. And again, if you don't have anything, that's okay. It's just for extra feedback. So you can still just imagine that you're hugging your inner thighs towards something, not to touch, but like against something. That works too if you don't actually have something. So you're on your hands with your fingers spread, wrists underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. And just a tone in the core. So even if you're pregnant, you can do that. You're just trying not to drop the belly down. We want to have a little bit of a lift. So notice a nice kind of neutral sort of flat back. And just connecting a simple movement with the breath. So you'll inhale, just feel sort of almost a broadening of the sitting bones. And exhale, squeeze that block with your inner thighs, just hugging in, whatever you have there. You breathe in, let it go. Feel a softening around the whole base of your pelvis, and exhale, hug it in. Keep the core support. Careful not to drop things down. Do that a couple times. And if you'd like, you can add in a tone, a lift of the pelvic floor, so pelvic floor muscle contraction. So as you inhale, you want to keep the pelvic floor at ease, released. And as you exhale and squeeze your legs in, you can also squeeze and lift the pelvic floor muscles. And then you let it all go and hug in a couple times. Just warming it up, getting it started. Good, remove that. Sit on your heels, just take a quick break for your wrists, a little squeeze, a little shake. Roll up the shoulders, take a breath, and then come right back to that tabletop position. Aligning your joints, your bones, and then take your right leg, lifting your foot to the sky, knee is bent. And notice that you don't want to have the knee like out to the side, so we're going for hips squared. Again, connecting to the core, so not getting droopy there in the front of the body. And I have my foot flat to the sky as if I was going to balance a tray of fancy cheeses or vegan cheeses or whatever you might enjoy on top of that. Already it should feel like effort holding this, and then we're going to add a little bit of movement. So you'll breathe in, and as you breathe out, your nose push up to the sky. Breathe in, lower it back down, so about knee to hip level, and then exhale, push up. And it's just going up a couple of inches, so it's not that high. And you're trying to keep that knee hugging in as if you were in like a glass pane. So try not to let it jut out. And you can do it faster if you want. You'll notice this is engaging your hamstrings, so you'll probably feel the work there too, and the gluteus muscles. Good, and then we're gonna add a little flow. So we'll exhale up, bring the knee down, hover it. That can be inhale. Exhale out to the side, like you're a dog peeing on the fire hydrant. You don't have to go that high. Bring it back down, breathe in. Exhale, take it up, little pulse. Inhale back down. And exhale out to the side. Or you can adjust that breath too to what feels natural. So you take it out, up, down, out to the side. Let's do one more. Keep pressing into the hands, engaging the core. Out to the side. Good, bring that knee down. Again, if you need a break, take a second. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but there's a lot of stuff on the knees. So if you want to pad under your knees with a blanket, if your floor is hard, you can do that. Come right back in. Take that right leg again and extend it out. Same thing here with your hips are parallel to the floor. If you had little lights on the hip bones, they point straight down. Even pinky side of the foot points down, and extend your left arm forward. Connect to the core, so no dropping down, lifting up. If you're pregnant, think baby up. If you're not pregnant, think belly button up. And then we'll tap hand and foot down and lift it back up. Tap it down, inhale, exhale, lift. Or do the opposite breath. Work with what feels more natural for your breath, and it's efficient to exhale where you need more effort. So if it feels harder for you to do the lift or the lower, exhale there. So a couple times, and then just hold. Extending actively through the limbs, breathing. It's a balancing posture, so you might wiggle around. Go ahead and take it down. Let's do a stretch for that right wrist. So bring your top of your right hand to the floor, and then just kind of lean your weight back. And if you're pregnant, you can take your knees wide apart to make space for baby. And you can adjust your hand closer to your body if needed. And then let that go, maybe a roll out. Let's come to side two. If the weight bearing in the wrists ever becomes too much for you, this could all be done down on your forearms, especially on top of blocks. If you want to be a little more lifted, you can put your forearms on blocks or pillows, whatever you have. So left leg extends out, knee bends, hugging that knee in, foot to the sky, little pulses. Just initially, you can go slow if you want. Exhale as you pulse up. You could take several rounds faster, just finding some heat there. And this is working the hamstrings, the back of the thighs, and the gluteus muscles, especially gluteus maximus, the biggest glute muscle, or muscle in the glutes. And then just check in with the front of the body that it's not drooping down. So you're trying to close the fronts of your ribs together. We'll add the flow so it goes up. You glide that leg down, hovers, and then out to the side. So we'll turn my body just so that you can see that whole thing, but you can stay as you are. So you're going up, down, lift to the side. Move slow with this, articulating through the movement like you were moving through water. So you lift the leg, there's a pause, a press up, comes back down, slides down, and then lift, like there was some resistance. I think one more sounds good. I'm not really one for numbers. And then just pause, give yourself a break. And you kind of shake out. And then the next part, this is known as bird dog variation. So left leg out, right arm forward, palm faces the inseam of your body. And you'll just tap the pinky down and the ring finger, toes, and lift right back where you started. Lower, lift. And again, you're staying really connected to the core so that there's no dumping in the low back here. So we're trying to strengthen. This is also strengthening your core, which is not just the front, not just the abdominal muscles, but the muscles in your back and also along the sides of the body. So this is targeting all of that, which should, again, hopefully help alleviate some low back pain by strengthening there. And then you're going to hold it, breathe. Maybe close your eyes. That's a fun challenge. Stay active, extending. Try not to get droopy anywhere. One more breath. Let it go. And take that stretch. So your left wrist, which did most of the weight bearing here, come to the top of the hand. So not just the fingers, but the whole hand. And breathe. An alternative to this, if that isn't feeling good, is just sitting and taking your opposite hand and using it to stretch the hand like so. Great. Letting that go, just gonna check in with my notes real quick. Great, so from here, we're gonna move over to the sides. You can start on your right or left side, whichever you'd like to lay on your side body. And if you have a pillow handy and you want to put that under your head, that might be nice. You can also hold your head up like you're posing cute or support your head. So I'm going to use a pillow because that sounds good to me. And then you have your legs stacked. So the inner knees are stacked on top of one another on the inner edges of the feet. Imagine the inner edges of your feet get glued together. These are called clamshells, and the top leg is gonna lift up and then lower. And so again, moving like you're moving through water or something viscous, so there's some resistance. And if you had a resistance band, this would be a great place to use it, like right around the inner thigh, or around the thighs, rather, so a few inches above your knees, and then you would have to push against the resistance. And you can also push that bottom leg down into the floor, like resisting there, and notice what that does for you. So I'm not one for numbers, as I said. They stress me out. I like to go to sensation. I think this type of work especially, your body's gonna tell you like what's the appropriate number of repetitions, so you go until you hit that. You know, and maybe you do like one or two more after if you like to push yourself slightly. And then just pause and take a rest once you find that place. And the next one, I like to call the Jane Fonda. So you extend the top leg out and you're thinking hip and ankle all on one line, like you were standing on that leg and you just tipped over to the side. And then the leg lifts up and comes back down. And just lift it up as high as it feels okay for you. Today it doesn't feel good for me to go all that high, so I'm gonna go a little bit lower, at least on this side. And then your bottom leg, as it's supporting you, you can press it down again against the floor a little bit. And there's still a connection to the core here, so this is all
just kind of really sturdy to help you balance. So we're not like wibbly wobbly all around. So again, go to sensation. Whew, I'm feeling it fast today. So as many as you want, you can go fast or you can go slow. Slow is always going to be more challenging. And then when you finish, come back to this little relaxed position. Make a fist with your hand and punch out your butt. So you can punch or you can massage and roll. One of my favorite things to do, especially for pregnancy, is to roll. Well, I love rolling throughout the body, but rolling the butt, I think, can be really great for a lot of things, especially when you're feeling your hips. Also really great if you're like co-sleeping with your baby and you're laying on your side a lot or sleeping on your side a lot in pregnancy, just rolling that out. So you could use tennis balls if you don't have therapy balls. We're not going to do that today. We're going to use our hands like that, but if you had the time, that would be a great thing to do after this practice. And then we'll just take a quick quadricep stretch because we're here and why not? So the bottom leg can stay bent. You'll take that top leg, bend the knee, heel to your butt, and then extend your tailbone towards your inner knee. So just breathing here. A good breath or two. Let it go. Come on up and switch sides. You can also just roll to your back and roll to the other side if you want. So starting with the clamshells, supporting as you want. Let me grab my pillow. On your side, edges of your feet glued together, but the knees open up. Lift and lower. And let the breath do whatever feels natural to you. So if you want to attach the breath with the movement, that's great. But you also don't have to. You can just breathe. Let it flow. So again, you're just going to sensation on this side, going into you until you feel kind of appropriately fatigued. And don't worry about it if it happens quickly. And if it takes you longer to get to that place, you can keep going. You're welcome to do this all day if you want. But when you do finish, when you feel that sensation of fatigue or just that you're complete, pause, take a rest. And then moving on to the second movement, the leg extends, again, hip to ankle alignment, and then lift. Lift and lower, just as high as feels appropriate for your body. And so if you were to turn your toes out, you could lift the leg much higher, but I'd like you to keep the foot parallel if possible. So we're really trying to support around the pelvis. If you want to explore what that does, like how that feels different, it open in the hips. You can put your hand on top of your iliac crest and the hip bone, and you'll feel it open up and turn out. So I'd like you to keep the foot parallel, so toes pointing straight ahead. It's also harder. Like this is, you can just rely on momentum for this, and it's a lot easier to do. It has a different purpose. It's not bad, but we're aiming for this. So this is targeting gluteus medius and gluteus minimus a bit more. So these are kind of the smaller muscles in the glute family that often get neglected. And so they might tend to be, they tend to be a little bit weaker for a lot of us, especially in pregnancy and after we have a baby for various reasons I don't really have time to get into, but good to work with them. So find that release, that punch, that roll. If your butt feels really tight as you do this, then take some time to roll it. I'm definitely feeling a bit of a tight ass right now. I've been feeling like a lot of stress because currently as we're filming this, we've got lots of fires happening around the whole West Coast. And just, I mean, there's so many reasons to feel stressed as a modern human that probably will not change anytime soon, but should probably roll my butt. Maybe you should too. Quadricep stretch next. So bending the knee. You could straighten that bottom leg out. It'll challenge your balance a little bit. Could be nice and fun to do that. Cool. So letting that go. Those are just a couple of, it's a really short movement, couple of things, but hopefully you should be feeling your butt. We're just going to stand really briefly. So coming up to stand.
If you had a resistance band, you could definitely use it here. So we're gonna just do a couple chair poses. So actually I'm gonna face sideways. I think that's better. Feet parallel. You could even go a little bit wider, especially if you happen to be pregnant. And that will give you more space. But toes facing the front of the room. And then you'll breathe in and breathe out. Start to sit. Sit so that your weight is back in your heels, feeling your butt, and stand. And if you want to use your arms, you can lift them up, biceps, frame your ears. And then coming up, inhale and exhale. And just a couple of times, and going in and out of it. And then we'll hold for about 5 breaths. As you hold, if it's a lot on the shoulders, to have the arms extended, you could do hands to your heart, hands to your hips, hands to baby if they're inside of you. And then try to sit more into the heels so you're not just using the quads. And that might mean torso forward a little bit. One more breath. Let it go. Take a breath in, stretch the arms up. And then breathe forward, fold. Feet can go as wide as you need them to be. Hands to the floor or grab a block or something else. Just stretching the backs of your legs. And we'll finish with a pigeon pose. So there's so many other things you could do, but hopefully this has just connected you a little bit to all those muscles around the pelvis. For a pigeon pose, I really like it with a bolster or a pillow under my pelvis. I think it gives a really nice sense of support. So I would recommend that, or also like a folded up blanket. And then I like to start kneeling behind it or on all fours, and then taking one leg forward and just taking that foot on a little walk all the way to the opposite side of the mat. Knee goes wide. And then I settle my pelvis down. And the back leg is straight. You can keep the toes tucked or untucked, up to you. And then coming down. Something under the head, like a block or a pillow, might be really nice. If you happen to be quite pregnant and you come down and you're like, I don't have room here, you can adjust that front leg, like bringing it closer maybe and coming forward or further, or ditch this pose, or if there's any other reason why it's not feeling good to you. And another one you could do is just a seated version where you're sitting and then you cross your ankle on top of your thigh. And you can adjust the bottom leg closer to your butt, will increase it. Hands can hold you up. You could also lie back on your forearms or all the way on your back if it's comfortable to be on your back. So just a couple rounds of breath in your outer hip stretch that you've chosen. And coming out when you're ready. You know it's brief. Stay longer if you want. But once you come out, take any kind of shake or movement or just come to a seat, let that go. And then heading into side 2. So if you're doing pigeon, I would suggest and just prefer it this way. I think it helps with the alignment. Come back to the kneeling position, step the leg forward, help the foot over across the mat, settle the shin down, extend the leg behind, pelvis comes down, and then you can fold as deeply as it feels okay. Deepen your breath, close your eyes. Take another variation of a pigeon or another outer hip stretch that works better for you if you'd like. You can take some breath out your mouth just to more fully release. And last breath. Climbing your way out, up. Coming out in the way that makes sense to you, just doing a little release. And the last thing we'll finish is with a Baddha Konasana. So you can stay seated on something if you'd like. You'll join the bottoms of your feet together and the knees open. Little rock, reconnecting to the sitting bones. Hands can rest on the ankles or to your baby if you're pregnant or wherever you want them to be. Close your eyes. Just let the legs relax, open. And we'll finish with a nice breath in and out your mouth. One more deep breath in. Full breath out. you have more time and want to spend some time in a forward fold, or maybe you want to recline back for Shavasana or a supported Baddha Konasana, please do. Otherwise, if you're ready to move on with your day, bring your hands to your heart. You can keep the legs as they are or switch to cross-legged, and just take a moment to acknowledge and thank your body for all of its work through pregnancy, through postpartum, if that's where you're at, creating this human. It's a really big job, so no wonder it comes with some aches and pains and discomfort. It's a moment of gratitude. The light in me bows to the light in each of you. Thank you so much for joining me for this short practice today. Be well.